what are the applications for the fuel cells with robotic? These humanoid robots that Tesla's doing.
It's funny you bring that up because we recently had discussions on this. Because the simplest thing to put things in context is anything that needs portable power, we can supply. So whether it's drones, robots,
The market for this could be much bigger than 100 billion. Basically, at the end of the day, I think these numbers
could be, and that's why some of the global leaders in aviation, for example, Airbus, are working with Advent Technologies today. Working with another aviation company, Stralis Aircraft in Brisbane, Australia, aiming towards the end of this year to launch the first 6-seat general aviation aircraft powered on fuel cells. And another area of exclusivity is portable power. And today we actually work with the United States Department of Defense, the US Army, and we have a product which has been in the field. It's called the Honey Badger 50. Think of it this way. It's a backpack. It weighs approximately 8 pounds, and it actually generates power from windshield washer fluid.
Okay.
I know.
So this is the thing. This is the backpack.
This is the backpack. And this combination of windshield washer fluid, which is methanol and water, can actually replace a 125-pound pack of lithium-ion batteries. So think about this. You have soldiers that are in the field. They need to power up their equipment. Satellite phones, computers, night vision scopes.
Drones.
That's a whole other area in the aviation space. Drone technology and being able to power the drones with our hydrogen fuel cells. But if you come back to our Honey Badger, again, think about this. 8-pound pack plus the methanol and water canisters makes it approximately a total of 25 pounds versus 125 pounds of batteries.
All right, welcome everybody to Wall Street Reporter's next Super Stock live stream, where we bring you those stocks which have that 10x to 100x upside potential. Companies going after massive multi-billion-dollar market opportunities that are at a key inflection point with multiple catalysts in place. And that brings us to a debut with ADN, Advent Technologies, and we have the CEO, Gary. Gary, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
Gary,
excited to be here.
It's great to have you. The stock has been on fire the last few days, and what I love about this is it's still very, very cheap. We love these stocks which have these market caps that are deeply undervalued. I think the stock was a 5 million market cap when we started. It's still under 10 million today, and we think, based on the fundamentals, I think it should be worth at least, well, we'll talk about that later, but a high multiple of word is just based on the fundamentals without even taking into consideration the upside. But let's start with the story first. So, Gary, in case anybody doesn't know, you're in the fuel cell business. Again, this is expected to be $100 billion market, fuel cells, $100 billion market, and you're an emerging leader in the space. For anybody that does know, exactly what are fuel cells used for? What are the applications, and what does ADN do in this fast-growing market?
Great question, Jack. Fuel cells are like batteries. They will run as long as you feed them air and hydrogen. And that's why some of the global leaders in aviation, for example, Airbus, are working with Advent Technologies today. Our technology is considered cutting edge, and Airbus is actually designing their next generation of turboprop engines built around our technology.
By the way, I'm just pulling up one of your slides showing these are some of your partners. We're gonna cover that in a second. But listen, it's a big validation to have a player like Airbus, using your technology. That's kind of like, in case anybody doesn't know, it's like the Boeing of Europe. Actually, I think they're bigger than Boeing, right? I think Airbus
They
is
could
bigger.
be they could be bigger
Yeah.
than Boeing. It is a validation to us that our technology is cutting edge, and that Airbus would devote resources, time, energy, and of course, building their next generation engine around this technology.
Okay, and actually, it's funny. We have one of our members in the audience is from the EU, from Portugal. Tome, big. I think he's a big holder of ADN. So Gary, so you got this. You have the fuel cell technology. What do you do different than other companies in the space? Because there's other players in the space. Tell us about the competitive landscape, and what is ADN's competitive advantage?
What we do is we are the leaders in HT-PEM technology in the hydrogen fuel cell space. And what also gives us a tremendous advantage over our competitors is our relationship with Los Alamos National Laboratories. And if
Where
our
they developed the bomb, the atomic bomb that was developed at Los
That's
Alamos.
correct. The atomic bomb was developed at Los Alamos. And as you may know from the recent news release, we signed an exclusive licensing agreement for iron pair technology, which is really the heart of our technology in HT-PEM. And this is for exclusivity in aviation, marine, and portable power.
Okay, and so maybe we should pull up. Maybe we can go through some of the slides, because actually you have a pretty good deck. So basically, these are huge markets. So marine. I was actually looking at this at the deck before you went on. I was like, wow, this.
Right.
This could be really a game changer in the market. Because I think you were showing. I'll pull this up, because this is actually
All
pretty
right.
interesting. Let me see.
It's a
So
great
we
slide.
get. So let's go through some of the applications. Maybe you can go through, and I think it's good to have the slides, because if people see it, they can understand a little bit better. Usually, I like to do these as a cue, but let's explain to us what exactly some of the applications in aerospace, and how big this could be.
All right. Well, if you want to jump back to the last slide you put up, um, just so just so our attendees today can see, you see Airbus. It's one of our joint development partners. We're also working with another aviation company, Stralis Aircraft, in Brisbane, Australia. They are actually aiming towards the end of this year to launch the first 6-seat general aviation aircraft powered on fuel cells. And again, our technology will be the heart of the power plant of that
Fuel
aircraft.
cells, no jet
No,
fuel.
no
So it's
jet
basically.
fuel, no avgas. And I'm actually very intrigued by it, because I'm also a licensed commercial pilot in the United States. So I'm
Commercial.
looking, yes, commercial.
Okay.
I'm
Okay.
not flying for American Airlines or
Are
Delta.
you instrument? You're instrument rated and all that.
I'm instrument rated, single engine. So I'm very intrigued about what Stralis Aircraft is doing.
Okay, so so this Australian company in
Yes,
Brisbane,
yes,
they've developed this aircraft which is powered by fuel cells. How
our
how
fuel
much of a
cells.
savings how much of a savings would that be versus traditional fuels?
Well, more than savings, it's about being clean and in to the environment, and also not only cutting down on actual air pollution, but also noise pollution, because the airplanes are much quieter.
Oh
And
yeah.
it's very exciting for Stralis and where general aviation is going today.
Okay. I'm not sure. I
And just
think
to go
so.
back
We
to
got. Yeah.
Airbus, when they complete this engine design, it will be this engine will run solely on hydrogen fuel cells. It'll be cleaner with no carbon emissions. It'll have a
Okay.
zero carbon footprint.
Okay. So this plane that is being developed by Airbus is going to run off hydrogen fuel cells.
That's
No,
correct.
no jet
Our
fuel,
fuel,
no.
our fuel cells.
Okay. Question. We had a question from one of the members, Tome. Would it have the same power?
Um, that's a technical question which I'm unable to answer. But what I would assume is the will it will be designed to provide the proper power and thrust necessary to, of course, get that airplane up in the air based on your runway length restrictions and a cruise speed which will be acceptable to the commercial airlines that they eventually hope to sell the airplanes to.
Okay, so basically it works. In other words, it's kind of, yeah.
Basically, yes.
Okay.
And, and why our technology? Our technology requires um, much smaller and lighter radiators to cool the engine, which reduces weight and drag. And that's very
Oh yeah.
important to Airbus.
Okay. Okay. So there could be savings. Also, so this actually okay. So this is a new type. I mean, really, this is kind of like this is a this is like a transformational technology, really.
It's very transformational in many sectors, and we are the leading edge company in this space. That's why I consider us to be a deeply undervalued company today.
Okay. So okay, let's talk about that for a second. So by the way, when does this go? When will this launch? When will, for example, with Stralis and Airbus,
Right.
when will these planes hit the market,
So
or when will they actually
Stralis,
have a demo?
right. So Stralis is aiming towards the end of this year, beginning of 2026, to launch their aircraft. Airbus is probably early 2030s, and anyone can Google Airbus and next generation engines, and they'll come across the information on this.
Okay. So in terms of Stralis, are they going into like production end of this year, or this is going to be like the maiden? Like,
This is
what's
this is going to be their maiden voyage at the end of the year,
okay?
early 2026. But it's very cutting edge. So
Okay.
we're very, very
And
excited to be working with them.
yeah, no, it's very interesting. So here's the thing: I think that investors need to understand. Like, it's a so massive market. When you now your technology, how is it going to work? Is it going to be? Are you licensing the technology, or are you manufacturing? Like, how much are you going to make? Let's
So,
say
so we we
per.
did we design and manufacture our fuel cells. And
Okay.
this is what we have proprietary technology. And then
Okay. And
combined
so
with our licenses with Los Alamos, this is what makes us cutting edge and ahead of everyone else.
okay, in terms of the economics, like in terms of the economics of this, let's kind of give an example. Maybe it might be a little bit early in the game, but in a case like Stralis or Airbus, how much do you generate in revenues per unit, let's say, per plane?
Well, that's a little too early for me to
Yeah.
pro forma out because we haven't gotten to that level, but that's certainly something that we can touch on in the future.
Okay. But we're talking about like in the
It
a
will be
decent amount of money.
competitive. It'll be competitive with what's available today, but keep in mind again, we are a clean alternative.
Okay. But in terms of like the revenue, let's say per unit, is it similar to other aviation components like engines or whatever it is? Are we talking about the same dollar amounts basically?
Right. I guess again, the best way to look at this is we will be competitive, and that's why our joint development partners want to work with us and they want to move
Okay.
these technologies forward because they are competitively priced. And why are these companies doing this? Because they realize that the clean air laws will continue to become more rigorous.
Oh, especially in Europe. I mean, they're already like going to, you know,
Correct.
one way. Okay, so this is okay. So we're talking about aviation. This is just one application. I mean, the applications for your technology are massive. Let's go through some of them because it's like
Well,
what.
well, let me jump to an exciting one,
Yeah.
because let's go back to the exclusive license we recently signed and announced with Los Alamos. Another area of exclusivity is portable power. And today we actually work with the United States Department of Defense, the US Army, and we have a product which has been in the field. It's called the Honey Badger 50. Think of it this way, it's a backpack. It weighs approximately 8 pounds, and it actually generates power from windshield washer fluid. I
Okay.
know.
So this
You're
is the
saying
thing. This is the backpack.
this is the backpack, and this combination of windshield washer fluid, which is methanol and water, can actually replace a 125-pound pack of lithium ion batteries. So think about this. You have soldiers that are in the field. They need to power up their equipment, satellite phones, computers, night vision scopes,
Drones.
drones. That's a whole other area in the aviation space, drone technology, and being able to power the drones with our hydrogen fuel cells. But if you come back to our honey badger, again, think about this. 8-pound pack plus the methanol and water canisters makes it approximately a total of 25 pounds versus 125 pounds of batteries. You
Okay.
think of it
So
again, you're
basically,
a
so instead of
soldier
a
in the
guy,
field, you're
yeah,
carrying a
it's a big,
backpack.
yeah. Okay, so there's a big difference between carrying 100 pounds and 25 pounds. I think it's a big difference. I notice if I'm carrying a golf bag that weighs, 2 pounds less. There's a difference. You really do notice a difference. If you're
So,
walking for eight
of
hours, for
course, for
four
hours
hours,
and
you
hours.
notice a few pounds.
And if you're a soldier, think about all the equipment you're carrying out there with you, in addition to the Kevlar vests and other protective
Oh
gear.
yeah.
So, yes, you found that slide. That's what the product looks like.
Okay. And so this is okay. So this is so basically pretty much any. So your technology, the hydrogen fuel cells, is. I mean, this is sort of essentially addresses any place you need power. Actually, what kind of power? Like, what are the potential? Like, how low? Like, how I should say,
Portable
um,
power. So,
portable
Jack,
power. Okay.
take that the honey badger that we've developed for the U.S. Army. There's also civilian applications for it as well. Think about people that go camping. You need power when you're camping. Think about other applications for homeland security. You have you have law enforcement officers that are off the power grid. What do they do for power? Sure, you can have a diesel or gasoline power generator, or you have hydrogen fuel cells, which are also much quieter. So think about for covert operations, for example, you're out in the field, you're not going to crank up the Honda or a gas power generator. The Honey Badger, you flip a switch, it's quiet power generation.
Okay. Very, very
And
interesting.
as
Okay.
long remember what I said at the outset, as long as you keep on feeding the fuel cells air and hydrogen, they'll continue to operate.
Okay.
This is not
We
like
got
lithium ion batteries that lose their power and then have to be recharged.
Okay, okay. So basically, this continues to operate, and I think what you just fill it up with this fluid.
Correct. You just keep on feeding it with the air and hydrogen mixture. In this case, the methanol mixture, methanol
Okay.
and water.
And how much does this cost? This methanol and water mix?
Well, that's a proprietary mix, and I don't know if we've publicly announced that, so I'm not sure if I can discuss it today.
I mean,
But
what does the customer pay for? What does the customer like? What would it cost them?
well, right now the honey badger itself um, is well, I'm not sure if we can. I'm not sure if I can disclose that number today. Um, but I can say that as our production numbers ramp up, that the pricing will come down.
Okay, okay. But the numbers, I mean, for the fuel and all that, the numbers are competitive. Are they
They're
below
they're
other
they're, they're
competition?
highly competitive. Actually, to put it in a context, and this is publicly available information, on the battlefield, the Army actually spends hundreds of dollars per gallon to transport fuel to the front lines. And why? Because the fuel trucks have to be armor protected because you're carrying explosive fuel. Our methanol water mixture is not explosive. So it's a much lower cost for transportation.
Okay, that's
It's a
big difference.
huge advantage.
Big difference. Okay. Question here. So it says you have contracts. So this Toma is asking, is that a done deal? So these are contracts that have come in already?
Yes, yes, these are contracts that we are fulfilling now.
Okay. So it's with the Department of Defense. And okay, so this is actually really interesting. He says, I just noticed on your slide, multiple applications, including robotics, agriculture, and drones. The robotics thing is actually becoming really big. Drones, robotics. What are the applications for the fuel cells with robotic? These humanoid robots that Tesla's doing.
It's funny you bring that up because we recently had discussions on this. Because the simplest thing to put things in context is anything that needs portable power, we can supply. So whether it's drones, robots, we can provide it.
Okay. Okay. So the market for this could be much bigger than 100 billion. Basically, at the end of the day, I think these
It
numbers
could
are.
be. For
Yeah.
example, if we go back to the recent announcement with Los Alamos, and what I said a few minutes ago is that we have exclusivity for aviation, marine, and portable power. Marine, and there is a slide in this deck. Um, think about ships that have generators to produce power. Here's an example. This was battery only. You can see how many batteries you would need. Fuel cells
Hmm.
have a much smaller footprint. So today, when a ship, a yacht comes into port, they have to turn on an auxiliary generator, which is typically
Yeah.
powered by diesel. More and more ports around the world are trying to limit the number of yachts and super yachts coming into these ports because they are spewing carbon emissions into the air from running these generators. Our technology provides a clean alternative to that, clean and quiet alternative. So rather than running the generators, you'll be able to flip a switch and you will have a hydrogen fuel cell generator powering, providing this alternate power for the ships.
Okay. No,
Again,
that actually makes a
I
big
go
difference
back to
because
very simply again, anything that requires power and portable power, we can supply with our fuel cells. That's why you are correct in saying this market could be bigger than $100 billion. Think about all the drones, aviation, I mean, marine. It's very, very exciting.
so it's interesting because I think when you started developing this technology or fuel cells, it was based on current applications, which could be okay aviation. You got marine, etc., portable power. But now you have like we're entering a whole new world where you have actually a whole the potential applications for let's say robotics, the robotics or the drones, and this thing it's moving much faster than anybody anticipated. Like right now, there's like robot deliveries in a bunch of cities. I think on different college campuses, they have these
Yes.
little robots that,
Yeah.
that deliver food. If
Yeah,
you
I've
order
seen
from
them.
like I don't know, you've seen it. I
Yeah.
haven't seen. Okay, so I haven't seen one yet, but I've like I know it's happening like all over the country in the U.S. Like on the robot deliveries, drones. Obviously, people, but the drones, the robots, and then you have the humanoid robots, which is Tesla just opened a diner in L.A. And this is I haven't been there. I want to check it out, but this is like we're going into a whole new world where like
Yes.
I think we could be really underestimating this $100 billion market. It could be much bigger. Now, here's the thing. So your market cap right now is, let's say, it's under $10 million right now, which is dirt cheap. Now you have 150 patents. You got a lot of IP. I
Yes.
think there's been some estimates. I don't know if you had outside, but there's some estimates on just the value of the IP portfolio. What is that worth? Like what the assets that you have in the company?
Jack, I don't have an exact number, but just based on the applications we're talking about today, the IP portfolio could be worth 6, 10, even times more than our market cap today. Again, just think about some of the IP that we're discussing on this call today, and even our exclusive license with Los Alamos and those applications, marine, aviation, portable power. It's endless. Again, I go back to anything that needs portable power, our fuel cells can be used for it.
Okay. In terms of like what kind of, so let's go through like you have this great technology,
Yes.
which is really a game changer for portable power applications. We mentioned some of the applications. Let's walk through the current, the traction that you have in the market, like contracts. I want to go to that side, the contracts that you have now, and also where are you going? Because I think what matters, I think, for investors, okay, what's next? Like, how big can you scale this, and how fast can you scale? I think that's
Right.
what's going to
So,
move the stock.
yeah,
How big and how far can you scale?
right. So I want to touch on one other very significant program, which has been publicly announced um, in the past few months. We actually were the recipient of a called an Innovation Fund Award in the European Union. Our company was one of 285 applicants to this fund, and we were the number one selection. Little Advent. Why? Because the EU recognized that we have cutting edge technology. And this program is worth, the grant is worth in excess of 34 million euros. And that is public knowledge.
No, it's big.
It's a huge, no, it's huge. And what does that, for me, what does that say? That our technology is recognized by leaders in in the scientific community.
Yeah, no, it's massive validation. Uh,
Massive, massive
yeah,
validation.
yeah, especially for, I mean, again, it's incredible because we're the stock. Again, I always go back to the stock. I'm looking at it as an investor. Again, basically market cap $10 million. So in other words, you look or less. It's really right now it was five. I think we're at 7 million market cap, 7-8 million market cap, and the potential opportunity could be could be in literally in the billions, So this could be, when we say 10, this could be like literally, but I mean, if you really scale this, if you get this traction, when you start generating revenues with Airbus, I mean, this thing could be worth, why can't it be worth $1 billion, which would potentially make this 100-bagger stock?
Uh, that would be great. And there is nothing stopping us. We have the technology, we have the reputation, and as we continue to grow the business, what I envision us doing is forming partnerships with leaders in various industries. We have partnership with Airbus, joint development agreement. We talked about Stralis. We will partner up with companies in the marine sector. Again, I go back to anything that requires power and I'll call mass manufacturing of product. We will partner with these companies. We are positioned as a technology company. And we will partner with the leaders in manufacturing to get our technology out there.
Okay. When can we?
And Jack, I want to just say, as we've positioned the company to be a technology leader in hydrogen fuel cell, I envision that at some point the market will take notice of this and hopefully put a technology valuation on the stock.
Hmm. Yeah, listen, I think there is multiple paths for this thing to be at least a 10x. I mean, and again, we could talk about that at some point, but I want to get to a couple of questions here. So Tommy is asking, um, so basically your technology it's competitive with current fuels like electric, everything else?
Well, it's actually better than electric. So, for example, this past
Sorry.
weekend, I flew in a battery powered airplane.
Oh,
It was very interesting. It was very quiet. But what's the problem? The problem is very simple. These batteries only have 70 minutes of life. So you really can't go very far. Our hydrogen fuel cells would actually expand the range of that aircraft. And that's another partnership we're looking into.
What would be, so you're saying the hydrogen fuel cells, they could expand the range versus battery or versus
Straight
rate or versus
versus
fuel?
straight battery versus straight battery
Okay,
with
versus
in
battery.
the
Okay.
electric marketplace today. I mean, I
Okay.
was
What
actually
about
surprised getting in this airplane that there was only a 70-minute run time on the batteries.
hmm. Is that like
So,
Joby? Is that the one Joby or
no,
something? One of these?
not Joby. Um, it's not Joby, but I've seen some of the other battery powered aircraft today, and they're still limited by battery range.
Yeah.
I mean, think about,
Interesting.
I want to just touch on another sector, backup data center power, off grid power.
Oh,
Our technology can be utilized for that. Now, we're not in a position to develop 1 gigabyte power centers, but with the right partners, we can certainly do that.
okay.
Again, we have to remember anything that requires power, we can provide it. And that's why this is such an exciting technology company.
No, it's no, it's a mass market, especially at the ground floor where the thing is now. Because at the end of the day, I'm always you always have to kind of look at the valuation. What price are you getting in at? It's and here it's a really compelling setup. So
I,
let's talk about.
Jack, I'm a deep value investor. That's been my background for a number of years. And what attracted me to this company is I believed it was very undervalued. That's why I'm spending my time and working with our great team of people, my COO, Jim Coffey, my CTO, Emery DeCastro, who I always jokingly say is the grandfather of hydrogen fuel cells. He's really one of the recognized global leaders in the hydrogen fuel cell space. We have a terrific team here in the United States and in Greece. Um, and I believe what we can do with our technology is endless. And that's what has attracted me to this company, and that's why I'm all in as a CEO, working with our very strong team to build this company.
Okay. Gary, you mentioned actually. Let's talk about your background. You mentioned your by background. You're an investor. I think you're a fund manager. Tell if you can tell the audience kind of about your background,
Sure, my
and maybe
background,
some of the players in your team.
I'm really an entrepreneur at heart, always have been. And background wise, I was a investment banker working with microcap and small cap companies. I was a fund manager as well, working with microcap and deep value investments. I've sat on probably 11 um, public boards. I've sat on a number of private company boards as well. I'm very well versed in corporate operations. I've been involved in restructurings of companies and also transforming companies. I was up until recently on the board of directors of a company called SRM Entertainment. The ticker symbol was SRM, Sierra Romeo Mike. And we recently transformed SRM into a token strategy play, which now trades under the symbol TRON, Tango,
Okay.
Romeo, Oscar, November. And
Tron. That's the Tron stock.
Tron. So
Okay.
before the transformation, that stock was in the mid 40-cent range. And it's been as high recently as 11, almost $12 a share. I think now it's hovering around $7 a share. And that's less than 60 days after we announced the transformation.
That's a 25 bagger.
It's pretty impressive, I say the least. And we I'm very pleased with what we did at SRM, which is now Tron. Great team. But again, it's all about finding the right opportunities, called deep value opportunities and being able to transform.
Okay. So what needs to happen? What needs to happen? What are the catalysts for ADN to be a 25 bagger in the next 60 days? Can it happen? Well, let's not forget about 60 days. What if a couple of months? Let's say 6 months. Can this be a 25 bagger in 6 months? It's only 100 million value. The great thing about this is the market cap was so low that even if the stock goes up 10x, even if it goes up 1,000%, the market cap would still only be $50 million from which is like nothing basically.
I know. And when you consider our IP portfolio alone, I believe that we're much more valuable than that. And again, I come back to this exclusive license that we recently signed. Again, that's exclusivity for marine aviation and portable power. And just in the past 30 minutes, look how much we've discussed these sectors. And I'm sure your people and your attendees today are thinking, and they're looking around their offices and their homes and thinking, what do I have here that operates on batteries? And what could a hydrogen fuel cell actually power? Think about robotic lawnmowers, for example.
Mm.
There's so many robotic applications. It's
Or
endless.
you know what's going
Marine
on now?
aviation, the
You know what's
drones
going on?
again.
Actually, no. And actually, what's going on now is the thing with agriculture. You talk about lawnmowers. This is where they're doing tractors. All these John Deere. What John Deere and all these tractor companies want is everything is going big scale, right? So they have these massive farms, and instead of hiring a farmer, these are basically automated. The tractors are automated, and they just need the fuel. And I don't know how much is this a compelling use case for you?
Well, Jack, it's actually a great segue to a joint development agreement which we've had with Hyundai, and this was Hyundai Heavy Duty Automotive, and that's the focus is on heavy equipment, and
Oh, that's right.
that's been
That's right.
publicly announced in the past.
Like the
So
Caterpillar type stuff. Okay.
heavy
Okay.
equipment like that, exactly. So you were touching on because think about it, the
This
equipment
is
that's
so
out
man.
there today. The tractors, for example, what are they operating on? They're operating on diesel. So now you have diesel fumes and particles all over, being spread all over the crops. We offer a clean energy solution to that.
Okay. Okay. And so actually, it's totally bringing up a good point. So basically, this totally transforms the energy market or portable energy market. I mean, pretty much all energy.
Absolutely. Portable
Okay.
power and off-grid power.
Okay.
And
Um,
Jack, I hope on a future call, I'll be able to introduce you to my COO as well as my CTO. And I can assure you that within about 10 minutes, my CTO is so good at explaining how a fuel cell works, each one of your attendees will feel like they're an expert in fuel cell technology.
Okay, no, that'll be excellent. We should have. Well, no, definitely. The idea is to have you on and have people from your company on every few weeks, so people can really understand the story. And as you have news flow, we'll have you on to kind of clarify or give some insight into the news beyond the press release, because I think a lot of times press releases people don't really people never get it. It's always better to hear directly from the source.
Right.
To
And we're
to
happy to
get.
do that and we look forward to it.
Okay.
And we're
So
very
speak,
excited
speak.
about what we're doing at the company, and we want to get the message out on hydrogen fuel cells and why this marketplace is, $100 billion plus marketplace. And
Okay. And,
we want to be the cutting edge leader, technology leader in that space.
yeah, and I think so. Speaking of news flow, okay, because this is a big thing. Like in terms of what do you have coming up? Like what kind of upcoming catalysts do you have? What kind of news flow can investors look forward to over the next 90 days?
We have a lot going on at the company, and my advice is people should just keep an eye out for our news flow. And when we have our neck every few weeks, when we have our calls, we'll be able to talk about that publicly released news.
Okay, but can you like what? I mean, can you give us a hint? Like what kind of? Give us a hint, Gary. What kind of new? Like what kind of milestones or what possible milestones could there be coming up that could potentially move the stock? Like.
Right. Well, of course, I can only speak about publicly released information,
Of
but
course, of course.
with the sectors that we are touching on today in terms of aviation and portable power, I believe that in the future we will be able to have more news flow in those areas.
Okay, okay. It's a very broad answer. Okay, but we should. Okay, so bottom line is we should be expecting, let's say, a couple of, 2, 3 news items a month. 2, 3.
We will keep a steady flow of news in the marketplace. We're very
Okay,
busy. I am up at 4:35 a.m. every day Eastern time, operating across a minimum of 3 time zones every day between New York, California, and Greece. So we have a lot
okay,
going on.
okay. Excellent. All right, Gary. It sounds very exciting. I mean, the stock is in a great place. I mean, again, everything, it meets kind of all, the checklist of the criteria we look for these potential, next super stocks. I mean, number one for me is valuation. Valuation, again, dirt cheap. You got a 10x just based on that. You got great chart, great technical setup. You got catalysts. You have management. You have everything going on. So I want to, but in your opinion, I always like to ask CEOs at the end of these live streams. In your opinion, what are the top 3 reasons why investors, should consider ADN today? Actually, you're a fund manager. So from your perspective as a fund manager, what would you say is the main thing to look at with ADN?
Looking at this as a fund manager, first of all, undervalued opportunity, large potential marketplace. We've talked about over $100 billion marketplace, hydrogen fuel cells, strong technology, IP, licenses, and most importantly, a strong management and scientific team.
Okay. Yeah, I think again, I think you can't overemphasize the because again, a lot of times in the micro cap area, we're in the micro cap space, and a lot of times
Yeah,
companies talk
sure.
about the market, this and that. But at the end of the day, you actually have the goods. You actually have validation from Airbus, Hyundai,
Yes. Well,
all these companies,
well, Jack, you're right. I mean, that
government.
one page speaks for itself about the company's current and past partnerships. And why would these global giants work with us? They work with us for everything I just said. Our technology, our know-how, and the strong management and scientific teams we have at the company.
Yeah, and again, the big thing, it's just incredible. I don't want to keep going back, but the point, but I think
Yeah,
it's super important that
I'm
investors
very
get it
excited about it.
because the
And that's
market cap, is so cheap, and you have this again, this upcoming milestone, this which is like coming up, and it's going to happen. Again, the stock moves in advance, so it's always like buy the rumor, sell the news. The stock is going to move way in advance of this actually happening, but so that your technology is actually the power plant driving their next generation of planes for
that
Airbus.
that's correct. And that's what's so exciting to me. Right?
That's worth a lot more than 10 million valuation today for the stock.
A company like Airbus says we're designing our next generation engines around your technology. That's validation right there. The US Army, Department of Defense.
Okay, excellent. All right, Gary. On that note, I want to thank you for joining us. We're going to follow up with you next time we have some news. Hopefully by next week. Thank you, everybody in our audience for joining, and we'll see you all on the next one.
Thank you, everyone. Jack, thank you very much for setting this up
Thank you
today.
again, Gary.
Very